We didn't think we were going to get much in the way of audio evidence, and it turns out that we actually got a ton.
If there's somebody human in here, you don't have permission, so you need to get lost.
Welcome to Mike's Morning Mug. Today we are going to be talking about Expect the Unexpected. And this was really inspired by our Beardstown paranormal investigation at the Grand Opera House there, in which, we didn't think we were going to get much in the way of audio evidence, and it turns out that we actually got a ton.
If there's somebody human in here, you don't have permission, so you need to get lost.
Did you text her?
How?
We got that deep, creepy laugh, that strange slurping sound. Those were really two big hits for us. We had a lot of other small whispers, and there were some whimpers. There was a child's voice that was in there, a woman's voice, a lot of other different things that were within that audio. But the thing is, why it was unexpected for us is we didn't expect to get any audio just because of the locale. Even though it's a small town, for some reason that street turned out to be quite busy. There was drag racing going up and down. There was a train nearby. The elevator kept cycling like every few minutes, and then there were people on the street on occasion. So we were actually a bit frustrated, even though it was a great location with great history and all of that. We really didn't think we were going to get much in the way of evidence, especially audio evidence, from this particular investigation. We're thinking it's going to be about a 15-minute video that we're going to put together here. Turned up to be about a 45-minute video. And so this is a lot of what I talked about on the podcast the other day. I originally did this as a podcast. Now I'm doing it as a morning mug video. And what it comes down to for me, and this has been something very... It's a theme. It's a recurring theme while we're investigating the paranormal, and that is expect the unexpected. That there are times where you think you might have a lot going on, and you go through the evidence and there's nothing. And then there's times like this where you don't think you're going to get any evidence at all. And this one was from an environmental issue. Other times it seems deathly quiet when you go through the evidence anyway. Is there were some things here. And this turned out to be one of those cases. So I want to talk about a couple of specific stories. So we're going to get into some that you're probably a little bit familiar with, like the Campsville grade school. That was definitely unexpected over a course of time, especially. Goldenrod showboat, there are things that were unexpected.
No, I think I just saw exactly what you were saying.
No, they went that way.
Hello?
I'm going to start, though, with my very first paranormal investigation, because that one was purely the unexpected. So my very first paranormal investigation, I really had no idea what in the world I was doing. I mean, I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school, and we weren't even there to do anything with the paranormal. My friend David and I, we were visiting our friend Lori. She lived in an older house downtown, and we're just on the couch shooting the shit, just being teenagers and just hanging out. Well, at some point she started telling us about how she thought her house was haunted, specifically her bedroom upstairs. And so we decided, okay, let's go check it out. So we launch into what we didn't know at the time would actually be classified as a paranormal investigation. Her main issue that she had was that anything that she would tack up on this one wall would always fall down, whether it was posters or whatever. Over the course of time, things would fall down. I guess sometimes it was more immediate, sometimes it took a little longer, but she couldn't ever keep anything on this wall. She went into a little bit of, very little, but a little bit of history about the house, and how there was a family cemetery that was out in the backyard. People that had lived in the house were buried back there. So she thought that perhaps maybe some of them were still here as ghosts in the house. She also threw in there that the house looked a bit like Amityville, which, that doesn't matter, of course, but, just for good measure, like a spook factor, right? So we're in there checking out this wall that she's talking about, and kind of looking it over and trying different things. Really our first little steps into an investigation. Well, my friend David, and I didn't realize this at the time, he was sensitive. I knew he dabbled in like some stuff. That's all I really say about that. But I didn't realize that he was like a sensitive. So he put like bare hand to the wall, and all of a sudden he turned like this beet bright red and started sweating profusely. It was just like shocking. Expect the unexpected. I'm looking at him like, what in the world is going on with my friend? Because he was just, sweat's pouring off him. He's just this bright red. And he stood there like that for, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. I don't know. He was shocked too. He was not expecting that. He finally took his hand off the wall, and we're just kind of staring, the wall at him. What in the world just happened? Well, he decided that he was also going to check out other walls in the house to see if there were any, like, quote unquote, other hot spots. And this is like really when it first just like struck me that this is fascinating. This is something that I'm totally intrigued about. What in the world just happened? And I didn't know it was going to become this, but I knew it was an eye-opening, life-changing type of a moment, because I knew it was something I was always going to have an interest in. I had already had experiences. I'd had my shadow person experience when I was much younger. My big one, the one that actually touched me. There was another smaller one when I moved back to Ohio. And I was already into, books like Amityville. When I first read that book, I was like, instead of being scared about it, I wanted to go to the house and find out what really, goes on there and all that. And I remember my girlfriend that I had at the time, she thought I was crazy for wanting to go to the Amityville house. I'm like, no, I want to go check it out. So when that happened with David, it was, like I said, very, very unexpected. And it was a game changer. It was a game changer for my whole life. And now you fast forward, some 28 years later, and here I am sitting here talking to you about paranormal activity. And so Shauna and I have had a lot of these types of experiences where, like the Campsville grade school. I'll talk about that one here real quick. Now, we knew something was going on. There's the residual haunt of the footsteps on a second floor that doesn't exist.
Upstairs.
I know.
Upstairs.
That's what I mean.
But we knew that there was something probably intelligent going on in the gym area by the door that leads to the boys' locker room and then down into the basement. Well, one night we're set up in the gym and we're sitting on the bleachers and we're hearing things across, that gym, whether it was from the door that led to the boys' locker room or the door that led into the other part of the school. And we went back over the footage later, really not even at first. When we first released the raw footage video, we hadn't captured it. It was when we did the reveal video that we're going through. It's like, wait a minute, there's something there. There's something there by that door. And so we're looking closer and we're looking closer, and it's like, there is. And the video's dark, but when you look a little bit closer, there's a figure. So we enhanced the video a little bit, lightened it up, and everything else lightens except this little shadow figure that's back in there over by that door that leads down to the boys' locker room and the basement. And when you're watching the video, you can actually see it walking a little bit.
Can you play that whistle for us again?
So again, expect the unexpected. The same is true for that location with the apparition of the woman that we saw down the steps. So we kept hearing things down the steps. We'd go into the basement. We'd experienced nothing in the basement. But yet when we'd go back into the gym, we kept hearing things coming from the steps. So finally, this one time I said to Shauna as we were walking out of the basement, I was like, maybe it's not in the basement. Maybe it's just a stairwell, because that's really where we're hearing things come up from. So Shauna says, well, why don't we set up a camera at the top of the stairs looking down? Okay, cool. We'll do that. So that's where we got that apparition of the woman at the bottom of the stairs.
It was a good idea. So, yeah.
Again, not expecting that at all. You know, we were expecting almost kind of what we got later on that a viewer pointed out to us, because we went back to see if it was matrixing. You know, we gotta verify that. We gotta check that out to see, because the apparition didn't move. She just kind of stood there like this, you know, or actually kind of, you know, folded her arms like this, right, and just stared up. Other people have since said they see a little boy back behind her, which is kind of interesting. But so we needed to go verify that, see if it was matrixing. With the camera pointing down, not recreating it at all. You know, so okay, apparently it wasn't, you know, whatever to do with the brickwork, dirt on the wall or what have you. But while we're filming that, there's a pebble that's thrown across. Again, expect the unexpected. Of course, the real unexpected one was the Goldenrod showboat, our quote-unquote ferry incident, which we don't know if it was a ferry or not. We just kind of chalked it up to that because we didn't know what else to call it. I mean, it was the first thing that popped in my head because of what I saw. I mean, the first thing was a translucent ball of light that just darted down between Shauna and Tara. Now this, I guess a little bit of setup for people that don't know the story, is we had just had an event that night at the Goldenrod showboat, Ghost of the Goldenrod. And there are just three of us left, me, Shauna, her friend Tara. All of our resources were essentially spent. You know, cameras, the batteries and cameras were gone, you know, all of that. We're just kind of sitting around, chatting. We're seeing a couple things out in the lobby. The only source of light is my flashlight that's resting on the floor, shooting up toward the lobby, just giving us enough light. And we're just talking. There's no other source of a light because the showboat was boarded up for the winter. We got this translucent ball of light that darted down between them. They didn't see that. It was, I saw it. I was standing up. They're sitting on the ground.
There was like a ball of something, like right between two. It darted right here.
But I didn't pay it much of a mind because it's like, okay, you know, it's late. You know, it was just real quick. Maybe it was just, you know, figment of my imagination, whatever. You know, what happens where you think you see something, but you didn't. Well, a moment later, I see next to Shauna this like bar of light just appear out of nowhere, about 3 inches long. What the heck is that? I know there's no other sources of light, you know, so I go over there though. I walk around Shauna and I start kind of like moving my hand around, kind of pointing, trying to figure out where's the source of light coming from? How can I break the beam of light? I'm not breaking any beam of light. The women are looking at me like, what the hell is he doing?
I saw you pointing, but I didn't see
There was like a ray of light that was dancing on the ground. And I was trying to come over and figure out if it was coming from somewhere.
And then all of a sudden, the thing started to waver like this, and then it just disappeared. Later on, I've thought about this thing. There's more, okay? 3-inch bar of light. It was slightly V-shaped, and then wavering. Later on, I've thought about it, and I've wondered, because I wasn't able to break any beam of light that would have been casting this thing on the floor, which means the light source was coming from anywhere below my hands. Was it perhaps maybe a little tiny being on the floor casting this light from it, you know, which would have spread out in like a V shape? And then maybe it was wings that were fluttering to make the wavering go? Because after the girls are wondering what in the world I'm doing, and I kind of explain it to them, I see whooshing around Shauna that translucent yellow ball of light again. And I'm like, there it goes. They didn't see it because they're looking at me, talking to me.
No, it just went around this way.
Well, I don't see anything.
Well, finally, feel like I'm not going crazy because it's up in the air, darting around the showroom, and the women finally see it. And we spent like maybe the next 4 minutes, like 4 minutes of however many seconds the clip is, because we have an audio clip. That's all that we had left.
No, I think I just saw exactly what you were saying.
No, they went that way.
Hello?
Are you just trying to play a game?
Because I saw, as soon as you said you saw it go this way, I saw it go that way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you see it?
Yeah. It was over there.
The last time I saw it was it whooshed down between Shauna and Tara and out into the lobby area. So completely unexpected. Completely unexpected. You go there looking for that sort of thing. You know, I had already investigated there several times. Shauna had spent years investigating there. She was a volunteer on the showboat, so she had been there countless number of times investigating. And at times she had seen, well, we'd seen twinkles there. She had seen a red ball of light a different time up in the balcony area. You know, but this was completely different. So again, expect the unexpected. It's a fantastic thing about the paranormal, but it's also one of those challenges with the paranormal, because as we investigate and you kind of try to run a series of different tests to see what works and what doesn't. It's one of the reasons why it's very hard to make the paranormal a type of science, because you can't ever make anything happen consistently on demand, that sort of thing. Really, I go into a lot of these with zero expectations. Sure, I've heard the stories of these different locations because I want to know the history going in. I want to know what's happened there so I can talk to the people that are supposed to be there or should have been there, or I can talk about the time frame or the era and what have you. So there's some sort of reference and create like a trigger. But there's so many times that we don't ever get anything. And we have, you know, investigation videos out there that really are quite boring, because most of our investigations, you're sitting there for long periods of time with nothing going on. You know, you cannot make it happen on demand. So you're sitting there waiting, you know, talking and asking questions and, you know, running these different tests and experiments, and a lot of times just getting absolutely nothing. So we have videos out there that are like that. It doesn't mean that the place isn't haunted. It just means we weren't able to capture anything that time. We have other videos that are chock full, loaded with stuff. Beardstown happened to be just one like that.
What's your name? Oh my God.
So I guess part of the point of this is that when investigating the paranormal, it can get discouraging at times when you're getting nothing. And you go over the evidence and there's nothing there. And there are you might have many investigations in a row in which that's happening. And so you start asking yourself, okay, why am I sitting in these different places for hours and hours and hours and getting nothing? Don't be discouraged, because you will have that investigation where all of a sudden there's like, boom, a lot going on. And it's not just about getting the activity anyway. I've talked about this before. My last morning mug video was a rant about that, in which we're not out there to be evidence collectors. We're there to learn more about these locations, to help the people that own the location, to help the spirits that are there, to discover more about the history of the location, discover more about what went on there, to be a voice for those spirits that are there today. And so it may be that they need some time to warm up to you. There's a lot of different reasons why you may not be getting activity. They may not even be there that particular time, and we don't know why they come and go sometimes. But just keep in mind that the unexpected may happen to you at some point. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, check out the Beardstown video. That was really interesting. Of course, I also have the podcast version of this that I posted the other day. Thank you for watching Mike's Morning Mug. Please let me know in the comments below about unexpected things that have happened to you on paranormal investigations. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification to get notified of all of our upcoming videos. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Till next time.